larger union of democratic European member states. And the larger you have a European democratic member states, the more we only do the things that are value added. So the more we only work together actually to look at legislation and laws which deals with global warming, which deals with cross-border criminal activity, of which we've got quite a lot of cross-border criminal activity in our region from criminal gangs coming in, drug gangs coming in from other EU countries. That's where we have to work together with police cooperation and judicial authorities working together. But when you make a bigger union, for me it's also quite important that we then retain a lot of our national sovereignty on local, regional and national issues. And if you have a big union, actually you will not be able to impinge so much on what we believe is our own kind of sovereignty areas. And that I think is a better kind of union that I want. I prefer to have one that's bigger, that shares values, that works cross-border on issues, that works on the issues that matter to people locally. I don't want Brussels bureaucrats telling me, how to empty the bins locally. We don't need that. That's something we can do ourselves.
Thanks, Arlene. Right, so we'd like to go next. Okay, thanks. We'll take Andrew first, then Morgan, then Lucy.
It's a general question, general Labour. Do you think Gordon Brown is going to be good enough for the next general election to actually challenge Cameron, or do you think there should be a leadership change in Labour, things continue to go back in different aspects?
Okay. Not really my area, because I'm not here with Mr. Forum. You have to ask your MP that. Is there another question?
Yeah, Morgan is next.
What's your main role as a member of the European Parliament?
Okay, that's quite a broad question.
Oh, that's Lucy. Yeah, Lucy.
More of a general question. I was just wondering, what made it any easier or any difficult, or no influence at all on getting the position you're in and acting at the roles you do, if it has any effect at all?
Okay, so the gender issue, Guy.
With you being like the European Parliament, do you get many disagreements?
Sorry, I just can't hear you.
Oh, do you get many disagreements due to like clash of cultures?
It's not about ideological disagreements, Guy.
Yeah.
Cultural,
I mean like cultural
differences.
Cultural differences.
Yeah, linguistics, translations.
Yeah. Okay, so should we start with first?
Start with Andrews. Your opinion?
Yeah,
Some of your opinion. Yeah, we're looking well deserved.
Yes. Do I think? I think if you look at the current situation that the UK economy is in, like other European economies are in, like the global economy is in, like the US is in, that we are going through different economic things like that, you can imagine. But that is because we have got global problems we're dealing with. And I think that the issue of, as I said to you, energy price rises, then again, those are issues that are external factors that we need to work jointly with other member states and internationally to control. So if you ask me who the best person to do that is, then I would say, actually, irrelevant of what the British media think, that Gordon Brown is the person who's actually got the experience as a Chancellor, who has the gravitas on the world stage to do those kind of things, because he's been doing it for 10 years. That's another reason. It's not just about because who he is and because he's a Labour Party leader, but because he actually has experience. And, I would, in terms of looking at someone like Cameron, he doesn't have experience of being in government. He's a relatively newly elected MP. And my own, I have got some people that I know who work, for example, in the CBI. And at the moment, if you ask the Conservative Party what is their policy on dealing with some of these issues, they don't have a policy. So I'll give you another good example. Cameron this week did a big speech about the green agenda and about how we had to do better for consumers on the energy issue. And in fact, all of these issues we are already dealing with. And interestingly, his own Conservative MEPs voted against his own.
There's external factors outside that.
Yeah.
But generally, if you look at Gordon Brown as a leader of the Labour Party, is he charismatic enough to lead the party? So he's going to be an effective leader, because you look at opinion polls and stuff, and his town is not favoured upon the British public, and there's speculation of backbench, the Labour MPs who are a bit sceptical of him. I was just thinking, do you personally think that Gordon Brown is an effective leader to be able to, the next general election, contest Cameron, who is considered as more charismatic and favourable?
Yeah, but it's not a popularity contest. It's not Big Brother here. We're not choosing somebody that couldn't fit.
All right, thanks, Andrew. Okay, so you've had a chance there, obviously, to ask an important question. A couple of hands are going up as well. Morgan was next. Are you asking about Arlene's specific role in the European Parliament?
Do you mean as a chair of committee, or you mean in terms of I relate to the region? Or?
I relate to the region.
Well, I mean, you know, I think the thing is that for most people who are elected politicians, they would tell. Sorry?
Can we
Some
have
of the examples of some of the disagreements.
Disagreements on. I'm trying to think. Do you mean cross cultural or?
yeah, just some examples of some you may have had?
Well, I mean, I'll give you. We had an example this week. This week we also voted, which is a bit of a complex technical issue, but we voted to one of the things that we do in the internal market, which is about chair of my committee, is to say that we need to open up. You know, if you have a market, that means, and I just said to you earlier on that we have German energy suppliers and we have French energy suppliers, but the French and Germans don't want to open their markets. They only want German energy companies to supply German consumers. And that is totally in contravention to the spirit of the internal market. And the French are exactly the same. So we say to the French, okay, so you can, EDF, your French national grid company, can supply energy to us, but we're not allowed to get into your market. So Northwest Utilities can't get into your market. So we have two socialists, if you like, from the socialist family, and we had an entirely different vote.
You're talking about the change to gun law,
Yeah.
and the stopping them from selling them in Germany for the sake of them bringing them over here, but do you sincerely think that's a solution to the problem? And do you not think by changing the law, it's causing other problems?
Well, I mean, I think the first thing to say is that if you're dealing with things like gangs and guns, I mean, you know, the supply issue or taking them off the streets or getting them out of the hands of gangs is one part of it, that's for sure. I mean, there are more complex issues at play and why we have gangs and why we have, why we have guns. But, I mean, I also had the opportunity through my 21 days of being a magistrate police to go to, I was going to California for a meeting, and I spent a day with the Los Angeles LAPD, the Los Angeles Police Department, and I went out in the car with the LAPD officers, and I went into some of their worst gang-ridden areas, which was quite, when they asked me did I want to get out of the car, I said, no, I think I'll stay in the car.
Was it?
Yes, and you can see all the graffiti all over the wall. And this one area that I went in was, I think, a 10-mile square area of a small community area called Newton. And when you go to the actual local police barracks there, they actually say in their own, this is the staff do this, obviously it's not outside for the public to see, but internally on the wall they say, welcome to Shooting Newton, because it is completely gang infested and they've guns everywhere. And that's because they have no gun law, effectively. So, that's the extreme. If you don't try to do something to stop the supply, you're never going to be able to deal with it.
Right, Anthony, just before Anthony asks his question, we are beginning to run out of time. I think we've got 5 minutes left, Sam. So if you want to get a question in, please put your hand up as soon as you can.
Right. You've argued that things that can be done on a national level shouldn't be controlled by Brussels. Yet one of the criteria for new member states especially is that they must have a free market economy. Isn't this a breach of freedom of choice, and shouldn't the economy be the choice of that nation?
No, because you don't have to join the EU. I mean, the point is that we make it very clear, like any club that you join, that we have certain principles and that we are free market economies, that we believe in fundamental rights and democracy. So you apply to be a member of that club. You don't have to apply to be a member. If you don't want to have that kind of system, that economic system, how can you be a part of an internal market if you're not prepared to have freedom of movement of goods?
What do your foreign colleagues make of the special relationship between the US and the UK?
Again, that's a very good question, because as the EU grows and changes, our colleagues in Hungary, Poland, they like that kind of special relationship because they're a member of NATO and they're very pro-US. The countries that probably have the most difficulty with are France, because France has always been, if you like, in some ways a sole trader. They think Europe's much more important than anything else. And yes, we have a special relationship which is based on history with the US, and that's also got a lot to do with culture and language, etc. But we also, have a very important equal relationships with Europe. Europe is a very important relationship to us in terms of our immediate, borders, our economic value.
Is that your son?
It's not mine, is it?
Sorry.
I think Europe's important for us for all the kind of reasons, is that it's our kind of economic hinterground. We have chosen to be a member of the European Union because we believe that we can manage some of those problems there. But without a doubt there are tensions. Of course there are tensions on issues like that. But But I think, you know, if Turkey came in, Turkey's very pro-US.